Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting. This meeting is going to be a lot. I'm just, starting it off like that. I'm going to wait for everyone to come in and get settled. But yeah, this meeting is going to be a lot. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of uncertainty in regards to what we're going to be discussing tonight. Just to put it on the short list, we're going to be discussing Michael Flynn going free, Ahmaud Arbery, and the unfortunate murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And what I really wanted to go into tonight was the court system. Because in dealing with this Ahmaud Arbery case, we've been down this road before. We know how this typically goes. But I just want to kind of tie in because it ties in with what we discussed here on Secretary of Shade. How voting, the court system, everything that has been happening that we have been talking about together as a team for the past, 2 years? We're going into our second year in August. It'll make 2 years we've been doing Secretary of Shade. How everything ties in and how these last 4 years have kind of set the table for a lot of what we're dealing with. First, I want to say hello to everyone. What's going on? We got Shreveport, Louisiana in the house. Bianca from Virginia. Brooklyn, what's going on, Leandra? Samantha's here. Pamela. Bella, what's going on? Happy birthday to Ahmaud Arbery. Alicia in Georgia. I know this hits home for you. Xavier, what's going on? What's going on, Andre? Hey, Darlene, my fave. Yes, you have been here since day one. London, okay, London. Well, London, let me tell you what's going on. Todd, what's going on, Todd? Chanel in Connecticut. Lee, what's going on, Lee? Javon, what's going on? So everybody's going in. So tonight's meeting is going to be a lot. First off, I want to start off by saying happy birthday to Ahmaud Arbery. Rest in peace. And for those of you who don't know, that have been under a rock for the last few days, basically the young man was killed for jogging in a neighborhood near Brunswick, Georgia, I believe. Basically, it was from what, and they have corroborated this with the 911 calls. There were calls about burglaries in the neighborhood, which 911 did confirm. And these two men, and I believe three men, chased Ahmaud down as he was jogging, accosted him and basically shot him and killed him. Long story short. Two of those men were arrested today after 2 months, after several months, but we know that they were only arrested because of all the media attention and people, making, a big deal as they should about it. Now, here's the thing, because the devil's always in the details. Upon reading this whole case, the two men that are being charged right now is the father and son, Gregory Michael, who's 64, and his son Gregory McMichael, who's 64, and his son Travis McMichael, who's 34. Came after, so this arrest came after, listen to this, guys, after the case was moved to a third prosecutor, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation was called upon this week to investigate. So the charges, this had went through two previous prosecutors, okay? Moved to a third prosecutor, and then they were finally charged, okay? So Vic Reynolds, who's the GBI director, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation director, he goes, I can't answer what another agency did or did not see in regards to why it took so long to get arrested. But he says, but I can tell you that based on our involvement in this case, and considering the fact we hit the ground running Wednesday morning, and within 36 hours we had secured warrants for 2 individuals for felony murder, I think that speaks volumes for itself. He called the video of the shooting compelling evidence. It was extremely troubling. So, backstory on the whole situation. So, Ahmaud, 25 years old, was killed after an encounter with the McMichaels, who are white, in Santilla Shores, which is a middle-class neighborhood enclave about 15 minutes from downtown Brunswick and a short jog from Miss Ahmaud's own neighborhood. A police report said the McMichaels had grabbed 2 guns and followed Mr. Arbery in a truck after he ran past them. So he's jogging in his outfit, minding his business, listening to whatever he's listening to, minding his business. They see him running past and grab the truck, okay? The shooting happened on February 23rd, but the case did not receive broader attention until recently after the video was shared. Okay, so the funny thing is this. Right? What is interesting is we all were like, oh, wow, the video came out. The guy that taped it, leaked it, No, that's not the case. That's not the case here. Okay? What is not the case here, and we're going to get into the emotional aspect because right now I want to lay all of the facts out because I'm going to start preaching in a minute. But what's interesting here, and this is courtesy of the New York Times, by the way, in the latest twists in the small-town politics of this case, a criminal defense lawyer in Brunswick who had informally consulted with the McMichaels said he was the one who leaked the video. The video, which surfaced earlier this week, of course, made everybody mad and pissed everybody off, of course. The lawyer, who is Alan Tucker is the lawyer who has history with the McMichaels, said in a phone interview on Friday that he got the video from the cell phone of the man who filmed it. He later gave the footage to a local radio station so that the public could see what had happened. It wasn't too... Now, here's the thing. Before we start giving him his tens, like, yes, bitch, yes, you gave the video, you did X, Y, Z. It was, good for him. He got it. He did what he was supposed to do. Wait a goddamn minute, bitch. Here's what he says. It wasn't 2 men with a Confederate flag in the back of a truck going down the road and shooting the jogger in the back, he said, citing rumors that he said had fueled tensions in the community. It got the truth out there as to what you could see, he said. My purpose was not to exonerate them or convict them. So here's this thing. The lawyer did not release this video because he's like, oh my God, this is fucked up. They killed this young man in the prime of his life for no fucking reason. He leaked the video because he is friends with the McMichaels, okay? And he knows, of course, black young kid gets killed, 2 white men chase him down. We know what that is. You in Georgia. But he's thinking, his theory is, well, they didn't have no Confederate flags. It was nothing physically showing that they were racist. Bitch, don't nobody give a fuck whether they had the flags or not, sis. Nobody cares about that, okay? Nobody cares if you had the flag or not. The reality is, they chased this boy down for no reason. Citizens arrest, like, all number one, that citizens arrest shit, that's a bunch of bullshit, okay? So, the lawyer, here's the thing, lawyers' jobs are not to be honest. Their jobs are not to be moral people or nice people. Their jobs is to debate fact or create skepticism in a court of law. Okay? Morals, for a lot of these people, they don't give a shit about that. And obviously, this Tucker gentleman who got the video from the gentleman that filmed it, he did this shit to ultimately help their ass. Okay? Now, A local television station, First Coast News, previously reported that Mr. Tucker had consulted with Travis McMichael on conversations with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, advising him to keep his mouth shut. On Friday, Mr. Tucker declined to comment on his conversations with the McMichaels, citing attorney-client privilege. So you already know he helping them get their story together so that they can get off. He's, be clear. What is sad is that they had essentially a 2-month jump, 2.5-month jump, something like that, to get this story together. Okay? They had 2.5 months to get this story together. Okay? So, they already know where they're going, which is unfortunate because now the prosecutor has to kind of piece this shit together and do more work because they've had a 2-month, in my opinion, head start. So, at times, during the interview, a woman could be heard in the background whispering suggested answers to Mr. Tucker. This is the lawyer now. Okay? Though NBC News reported that Mr. Tucker was a family friend of the McMichaels, a representative for Mr. Tucker said late on Friday afternoon that he was an acquaintance of the family who knew Gregory McMichael from his work at the district attorney's office. So basically, they was all friends. Okay? They was all friends. They worked together. He know them. He like, all right, I'm going to help your ass get out of this. By Friday afternoon, Mr. Tucker said it had been decided that he would not be retained as the lawyer for either of the McMichaels and that he did not represent them in any formal capacity. Now, here's the thing with that. You may not be their lawyer, but you are their friend, okay? So even though Tucker won't be representing the McMichaels as of right now, because you know shit changes, as of right now, in a formal capacity, that does not mean that he cannot consult. Okay? That just means when they actually go to court, his ass won't be in the courtroom laying out the case. But we already know behind the scenes, okay? Behind the scenes, he's going to be helping their asses. That's just a fact. Okay? Now, what is interesting is this, about this whole case, is that, it took this long, which we all agree it took way too long. But it's amazing to me that, you know, during this pandemic, this whole, you know, we're all in this together, you know, I just want to get back to work shit. The economy is doing bad. Like, it's amazing to me that people still have time to mind other people's business, okay? And, like, really go out and kill people and murder people for no reason. No just cause. But that's that white privilege, if I'm being honest, because a black person, now, I ain't never seen in my life or on the news a black person talking about a citizen's motherfucking arrest, bitch. I've never seen it in my life. Ever. Only time I seen it, I think it was on Josephine Baker's story, Lynn Whitfield in the 90s, like Josephine Baker did some shit like that, or like, I think, I remember. But I've never in my fucking life seen a black person or any person of color in my memory, in my motherfucking recollection, this is me, bitch, a black person or a person of color do a fucking citizen's arrest. This is some white people shit. No offense to the white people in the room, but this is y'all people. This is y'all shit. Okay? That's just the bottom line. I ain't never seen it. Now, another thing about this, is that it shows, how much work has to be done. Because even though they're arrested, we know an arrest does not mean shit. Okay? They got to get indicted. But from my understanding, they can actually, the judge or someone can make a decision to actually skip the indictment process and just go straight to, hey, we going to fucking court, bitch. and we're going to try this case. It'll be interesting to see if they do that. Unfortunately, this is not new. This whole situation is not new. I don't think that this is the last one. It's not going to be the last one. And we're going to be constantly having this conversation. But I think that it's important to keep having the conversation because you have to keep a record of this shit. You have to make sure that people don't get numb to it. And it's not just a headline in the news and we move forward. Okay? And that's why it's important that every time these things happen, we do address them, not only as the black community, but as the human beings in general. Now, with that being said, as far as Ahmaud's case, what I want to do is I want to look at the effects of the Trump presidency on our court system. Because as I was researching all of the judges, because I forget who it was, somebody in my comments, I think it was yesterday or the day before, had brought up to me how many judges Trump had appointed and got through. And this is so important when we go through this because these are the same judges that make decisions in policy in some cases. It's a really good breakdown on Vox.com that I'm going to reference for this so that we can really, really, really get to the point. And I'm going to say this. To people who say, I'll stay home, I won't vote. That is your choice. Okay? But just understand, not voting and these judges getting appointed, I don't give a fuck if you don't like the presidential candidate. I hope that you're voting in your local elections. But these judges that this person that you are not voting for or against are appointing people who are going to be making decisions. And I'm speaking to the white people in the room, not the black people or the people of color. I'm speaking to the white people of the room and the people who benefit. You will be fine with another 4 years of Trump. That is the reality. You will be fine. I've seen some of the financial statistics. I know what's going on. You guys will be fine. But by staying home and not voting, neither voting or voting against, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to put people like me, who look like me, in tough situations because this man is basically getting free reign to appoint judges. So I want to get into the judges and explain to you why it matters. Since we don't understand why I get so pissed off when y'all say this dumbass shit about I'm just not going to vote I'm just not going to vote. So, what Trump has done to the courts, okay, this is courtesy of Vox. I'm going to be pulling from Vox here. In less than 3 years as president, President Trump has done nearly as much to shake the courts as President Obama did in 8 years. So not even in his whole term, okay, he's already matched pretty much what Obama has done in 8 as far as judge appointments and judicial appointments, okay? Now, Trump hasn't simply given lots of lifetime appointments to lots of lawyers. He's filled the bench with some of the smartest and some of the most ideological, reliable men and women to be found in the conservative movement. Long after Trump leaves office, these judges will shape American law, pushing it further and further to the right, even if the voters sadly reject Trump in 2020. Okay? Let's take that in. So what they basically just said, bitch, was not only is he stacking the deck, but he's stacking the deck with people who know what the fuck they talking about. So he may be stupid. He may act like an ass. Okay? But he's getting people in these seats, these judging seats, bitch, that know what the fuck is going on. They know the tea, bitch. Okay? So, they say, we're going to start off raw numbers. both Obama and Trump appointed 2 justices to the Supreme Court during their terms. But Trump's, now mind you, Obama appointed 2 in 8 years. Trump has already had 2 in 3, bitch. Okay? Now, Trump's impact on the highest court, on the Supreme Court, exceeds Obama's because Trump replaced a moderate conservative, Justice Anthony Kennedy. Okay, so a moderate conservative is basically, yeah, he's a Republican, he's a conservative, but he knows how to work within reason. He can use common fucking sense. He's not, so far right that he can't come to terms or be reasonable. Okay? So, he's replaced him with Brett Kavanaugh, who is a hardline conservative. We already know what he giving, bitch. Okay? And this was after appointing conservative Neil Gorsuch to fill Antonin Scalia's vacant seat. So Scalia's vacant seat got filled with another conservative. So we got 2, bitch. And we better pray for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because at the rate she going, and I'm going to be keeping 100, he might get 3. So that's the first thing on the Supreme Court level. Okay? So he's already stacking the deck there. So the scales of justice in the Supreme Court won't be really even. It's going to be starting to lean more right. Okay? And I'm not saying it should lean all the way left. But bitch, we should have somewhere in the middle. Okay? Now, here's where the shit gets interesting. With the Court of Appeals, which is the final word in the overwhelming majority of federal cases, more than 1/4 of active judges, so 1 out of every 4, are Trump appointees. Okay? So over all of these years with the appeals judges, 1 out of every 4 was appointed by the Trump administration. Okay? In less than 3 years, Trump has named a total of 50 judges to these courts, compared to Obama appointing 55 in his entire presidency, bitch. So Trump already, in 3 years, done appointed 50 appeals judges, compared to Obama's entire 8-year run of 55. Okay? I ain't finished. At this point in the Obama presidency, so 3 years in, around the same time, Obama had appointed only 30 Court of Appeals judges. Okay? So in 3 years, Obama had 30, Trump's already at 50. Obama had 55 total year run, total presidency run. Bitch. And just to put this into perspective, at these similar points in their presidencies, President George W. Bush had only filled 34 seats, Clinton 30, George H.W. Bush 35, and Reagan did 25, bitch. So you do the fucking math, bitch. He's cleaning house. He's stacking the deck. So while we're fucking laughing at tweets, bitch, and saying he's crazy and unbearable, while he is entertaining you, he's making fucking moves. Moves.com, moves.net, .org, .edu, .gov. Okay? Now, here's the thing. The crazy thing is this. A lot of these judges, as far as what he's appointing, in regards to this, a lot of them are young. Okay? A lot of them, the average age of circuit court judges appointed by President Trump is less than 50 years old. A full 10 years younger than the average age of President Obama's circuit nominees. So here's another thing. Not only is he stacking the deck But he's stacking the deck with people that's going to be around for a pretty goddamn long time. See, Democrats, and most people, most of America, this is where they get shit fucked up at, they equate age with wisdom. They equate age with experience. And while that may be true, this motherfucker don't give a fuck. He said, look, y'all gonna be around, because 40 years old, the average human being living to live at least like 75, 80, bitch. That means for the next 40 years, 30 at least, the next 30 years, minimum, maximum, I'm gonna go down again, 25. These people are gonna be shaping policy, bitch. Okay? That's enough time to change and ultimately send us back into pre-civil rights era. And I know that sounds like drastic, but it's a fucking, like, realistic view. Are y'all with me? Are y'all with me? I see the comments. Are y'all with me? If you're with me, put a thumbs up. I'm just saying, I know it's a lot to digest, bitch. Okay? So, how are these judges going to change America? Okay? Judges, by contrast, okay, in an age of legislative dysfunction, I'm going to read this is coming from Vox, because I think this is a great takeaway. In an age of legislative dysfunction, whoever controls the courts controls the country. Whoever controls the courts controls the country. In the past decade or so, or more precisely, since Republicans took over the House in 2011, Congress has been barely functional. We know that because we watch it on TV every day. You can count on one hand the major legislation it has enacted. Judges, by contrast, have become the most consequential policymakers in the nation because Congress can't get it together. Because Congress wants to be partisan. They don't want to do their fucking job. So now it's come down to judges. They have gutted America's campaign finance law, dismantled most of the Voting Rights Act, allowed states to deny health coverage to millions of Americans. They've drastically watered down the federal ban on sexual harassment, and that barely scratches the surface, bitch. Come on now. I told y'all tonight was going to be good, bitch. We're breaking it down. So, the judiciary is where policy is made in the United States. And that policy is likely to be made by Republican judges for the foreseeable future. So I say this to say that. We have ways to go with Ahmaud Arbery. Okay? Why? Because we don't have no fucking judges. So even if the case goes to trial in the state of Georgia, the good old boys club, the fucking lawyer Tucker is friends with the motherfuckers who shot the boy. Even if we make it to court, even if they say, fuck it, we're going to indict him, we're taking this to trial, there's a high likelihood, because it's 1 in 4, if it go to trial, go to appeals, whatever, that he's going to get a Republican judge. And we already know how this story ends. So understand, and I love Diddy. I love Puff Daddy. He is the reason I started making music. But now is not the fucking time to not vote. It's not the time. And you can disagree with that. But listen to what I just laid out to you. And even now, it may be a little bit too late. And I hope that, here's the thing. At this time, Okay? We're living in an era where the judges, we have 1 out of 4 appointed by Trump and his ideology, his beliefs. At the time when Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin, it wasn't even like this and he got off. So what the fuck you think gonna happen now? I know I'm preaching tonight, but it is what it is. We need to understand the entire picture of what's been going on. And that's why every time Trump show his ass and shit, I've slowed down my reporting on that because it's like he does that every fucking day. While we was looking at that, this is what the fuck was going on. So the time to ask what, to have that conversation, and no disrespect to Diddy. I admire him. I respect him so much as a musician and a businessman. But you hold your vote when you have something to leverage. You think they give a fuck if you stay home now? That they got most of the judges? They got 2 Supreme Court judges? They got motherfuckers in place? They have institutional power at this point that will live beyond when he's gone. So they don't give a fuck if you hold. That's really the only chip you got left to play is the vote to get his ass out of office to stop the bleeding. Because guess what? I don't think Ruth Bader Ginsburg got 4 more years in her. I'm just saying that. You can take that however you want to, but that lady been in the hospital about 5 goddamn times since this presidency, and she already up there. So guess what the fuck is going to happen if he's sitting there for another 4 years? You're going to be living in the goddamn Handmaid's Tale. And that's no exaggeration, bitch. That's just true motherfucking tea. I'm just saying. Now, there are now likely 5 votes on the Supreme Court, for example, to effectively give the judiciary a veto power on all federal regulations. Similarly, the court's decision in Burwell versus Hobby signals that religious conservatives may now ask the judiciary for an exemption from any law. Okay? And courts are likely to become quite generous in passing out such exemptions in the coming years. Republicans spent most of 2017 trying and failing to repeal Obamacare. But that failure means little to a federal appeals court that is expected to strike down the Affordable Care Act any goddamn way. And that's not all. In the coming months, the courts are poised to gut abortion rights, eviscerate gun control, and neuter landmark environmental laws. Federal judges have already stripped workers of their ability to assert many of their rights against their employers, and this process is likely to accelerate in the near future. Many of our voting rights lay in tatters. Thanks to conservative judicial appointments, and this process is likely to accelerate as well. When Congress, your congressmen, have been unable to function, the executive branch has relied on existing federal laws that delegate some policy-making authority to federal agencies in order to deal with many of the nation's pressing needs. But with the Supreme Court poised to give judges a veto power over these agencies' actions, the courts could in effect strike down any regulation they dislike. In a Republican-controlled judiciary, this likely means that Republican administrations will retain broad discretionary authority, but Democratic administrations will be hobbled. So take that in, bitch. So not only is your voting rights getting fucked up, but that abortion that you like to have, now the government's back in it. So basically what's happening, and if you haven't been watching it, I would encourage you to watch Mrs. America on Hulu. Is fantastic, Kate Blanchett. But that lays out the Equal Rights Amendment for women. All of that shit, the way that this is going, that shit gonna be gone, sis. That shit, all of that shit is going to be gone. Okay? That's just facts. So, what I want to touch on before we get to Michael Flynn, because I want to close this out. We've been on here for a minute. So they say, broadly speaking, there are two reasons why Trump has had such an outsized influence on the federal courts. The first reason is the effective blockade Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell imposed on appellate court confirmations the moment Republicans took over the Senate. McConnell's effort to block Supreme Court nominee Merrick Garland is well known. Less well known are the many lower court nominees who received similar treatment. Under Trump, McConnell's turned the Senate into a machine that churns out judicial confirmations and does little else. He's ignored literally hundreds of bills passed by the House. Under Obama, by contrast, McConnell's Senate was the place where judicial nominations went to die. The numbers here speak for themselves. In the final 2 years of the Obama presidency, when Republicans controlled the Senate, Obama successfully appointed only two federal appellate judges. And one of those judges was confirmed to a highly specialized court that primarily deals with fucking patents, bitch. Patents. By contrast, 10 judges were confirmed during the same period in the George W. Bush presidency, a period when Democrats controlled the Senate. The second reason for Trump's outsized impact on the judiciary is that when Democrats last controlled the Senate, one especially important Democrat, Judiciary Chair Patrick Leahy, took an unusually expansive view of the right of the minority party. So this motherfucker basically jumped ship. An informal tradition known as the blue slip sometimes gives home state senators an exaggerated influence over who gets confirmed to federal judgeships within their states. Okay? The tradition gets its name from blue pieces of paper that home state senators use to indicate whether they approve of a particular nominee. Traditionally, the Senate Judiciary Committee shows some level of deference to senators who disapprove of their home state nominees. Although the level of deference given to those senators varied wildly, depending on who chaired the committee and whether the committee chair was politically aligned with the incumbent president. Leahy, who chaired the committee for most of the Obama presidency, gave home state senators a simply extraordinary power to block judiciary nominees. Under Lee, a single senator of either party could veto any nomination to a federal judgeship in their state. Any senator. So this motherfucker helping just blow the I can't. It is a lot in this article. I encourage you to read it on Vox.com. But I just wanted to pull the most important pieces to get you to understand that when we go through these situations like Ahmaud Arbery, it has to be a full concert of justice. Okay? It's about institutional power, institutional setup. We could go outside and we could scream and yell and protest. You know, we already know how that's going to pan out. Unfortunately, in this country, you cannot not social distance. If your ass is not wearing a mask, bitch, and I know this is off topic, but it's in my spirit, you going to get arrested. You going to get locked up. You going to have a police officer sitting on your goddamn head. While your white counterparts is in Central Park doing shit that they're not supposed to do, getting masks passed out to them. The table is set, my friends. And it's not set in our favor. And I challenge allies. I challenge this because here's the thing. I challenge allies of people. So, and I kind of took it personally a little bit. online when I see liberal whites, you know, like, fuck the system, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, sis, no shade, like, sir, no shade. The system sucks, but you benefit more off of the system than I do. Your door's probably not going to get kicked in. Your sons and daughters are probably not going to get shot working out. And you're not going to get blocked from getting federal loans. So, miss me with the self-righteous bullshit. I'm just saying. And to close all of this fuckery out, Michael Flynn, long story short, we know the story. I'm not going to really give this motherfucker too much airtime. Basically, he admitted that he lied. He admitted it. He know he did it. But mysteriously, the conviction and charges is getting dropped. You know, Michael Flynn is getting exonerated. He's going to be, you know, nothing happened. But as we just laid out with the court system and how things work, now does it seem like a fucking surprise to you? I mean, it already didn't, but it really should not seem like a surprise to you. We've covered a lot tonight, but I wanted to focus this meeting on several things. I wanted to focus it on a court, institutional power, and why we have to stay in the fight, why we have to stay engaged, and why you have to hold your friends, your allies, accountable. Because staying home is not an option. It's really not. It's really the only chip we have left to play. I have my own personal feelings about how it's going to turn out in November, but I choose to remain optimistic publicly. But we got to get it together. We got to stay in the fight. And we have to understand what the real power is. Okay? What the real power is in this country. It's been a lot. I know it's been a lot. I'm exhausted. This week will be the fuck out, y'all. But I'm happy that we did it. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the bell up top for notifications. Make sure you follow me on social media at Dapper Dan Midas. You guys have a great weekend. To all of the mothers, happy Mother's Day. To all of my music lovers, bitch, I cannot wait. Tomorrow night, it's Jill Scott versus Erykah Badu, and I'm here for the shits. Got a lot to catch up on Netflix. If you haven't watched Hollywood on Netflix, please, I definitely encourage you to indulge. I'm on my second viewing now. I absolutely loved it. But with that being said, you guys have a great evening. I know it's a lot. Y'all be safe. Thank you for joining in. And peace out.